Mr. Deane's house?
Yeah, I don't know what color they were, but they were cops, yeah, indeed.
And you don't know, when, do you know when this photo, did you see anybody take this photo?
Yeah, actually I did see the photo taken. I don't know who took it, but there was a photo.
How did you see the photo?
The flash.
So you saw somebody take a picture of the car with, is that what you're saying?
Yeah, I saw a flash, and generally that's the camera.
Okay. And so was there just one? Only one person took a photo of that?
I think so. I don't know. I wasn't paying that close of attention, but I did see a flash.
You weren't paying that close of attention, were you?
Not to the photographer.
That's all I have.
I have no more questions. Thank you for your time, sir.
Thank you for appearing here today.
No problem.
We're going to call Michael Alcock. Yes, I'm sorry. I don't believe you've been sworn, have you? Oh, okay, good.
You were sworn in this morning?
This morning, yes.
Okay.
Sir, can you state your name for the record?
Michael Alcock?
Okay. And were you present at a party at the home of Travis Deane on, gosh, I'm blanking the date, November 5th, 2011?
Yes.
Can you tell me approximately what time you got there that evening?
I was there 7, 8 o'clock.
Okay. Were you there for the duration of the party?
Until about 2 a.m.
Okay. Now, at any point during that night, were you aware that a beer pong game was being played on Deputy Deane's car?
Yes.
Patrol car?
Yes.
Okay. How did you become aware of it?
I saw him setting it up.
Okay. Did you see him playing?
Yeah.
Okay. Now, did you ever observe Deputy Deane in the area when this beer pong game was being played?
No.
Okay. Did you see ever hear him comment on the beer pong game?
Not until later, after it had already been shut down.
So
into the night.
you heard Deputy Deane comment about the beer pong game after it had already ended,
Mm-hmm.
and how did that come up?
He came outside and saw what had been going on and said that he didn't really do anything. I don't remember the exact words because it was a year and a half ago.
Okay, so this was at what time?
Close around shortly before I left, so probably after 1.
Was the beer, I keep mispronouncing this, beer pong game, was it still going on at the time that Travis Deane came out?
No, it had been done for a while.
Done for how much time?
Hours?
Okay. But there were still beer cups or cups on top of Deputy Deane's car?
Yeah.
Okay. And at your testimony, the Deputy Deane came out of the residence and, yes, and saw the cups on his car, and yes?
Yeah.
And what was his reaction as he came around?
I don't remember the exact words, but you could tell he wasn't pleased.
Did he appear surprised?
More upset than surprised.
Now, did you see Deputy Deane handing alcohol to any girls under the age of 21 that night?
No.
Do you know the girls that were here to talk about here today, Lindsay Haynes and Kelly Camps? You remember 2 girls coming to the party, one dressed as a cowgirl?
I remember the 2 girls coming to the party, but I was never introduced. I never spoke to them.
Did you ever see Travis Deane hand alcohol to these 2 girls?
No.
Was one of them dressed as a cowgirl?
I believe so, yes.
Okay. That's all the questions I have. She's going to have something.
I just have a couple questions.
Okay.
Did you saw one of the girls with a plastic cup in her hand at some point during the night, didn't you?
Yeah, at some point, sure.
Okay, and it was the same type of cup that the other people at the party were drinking beer out of, correct?
It would have been, it was just one color of cup. So
Yeah, same type of cup, okay. And in terms of where you were during the party, most of the time you were inside the house watching the football game, isn't that correct?
It was either there or in the garage.
Okay, but do you recall giving a sworn statement to the internal affairs investigators? And that was on May 23rd, and you were asked about who was playing beer pong in the car, and you said, it's on page 6, honestly, I don't know. I was inside most of the time watching the LSU game.
Okay.
Went outside once for a cigarette, and I saw some people playing beer pong. So you spent the majority of the party inside. You don't know what went on in the garage, do you?
I was in and out for cigarette breaks, but during timeouts and things like that. So,
So when you testified under oath to the internal affairs that you went outside once for a cigarette, is that incorrect? Did you go outside more than once for a
I was
cigarette?
under the impression that question was while the beer pong game was going on, I was outside once.
Okay.
So I was in and out more than that though.
So there are things that could have gone in the garage that you didn't see.
Potentially, yeah.
Okay, that's all I have.
Do you know where Mr. Deane was at the time the beer pong game was being played?
As far as I was aware, he was in his bedroom. I went looking for him, and if the door was closed, I didn't see him anywhere in the house, so.
Okay. Did you hear him inside the room at all?
I didn't, no, I didn't.
Okay. Did anybody tell you he was inside that room?
A couple of people mentioned they saw him go in the room.
And this was at the time the beer pong game was going on?
Shortly after it started, yeah.
Okay. All right. Do you have any facts or information that all suggest that Mr. Deane was aware of the beer pong game as that was occurring? Okay. No?
No.
Okay. That's all the questions I have.
So you said he went into the bedroom, from your understanding, shortly after the beer pong game began?
No, I was looking for him after the beer pong game had started.
Okay,
That's what I was saying.
so you don't know, as you sit here today, do you, whether or not he could have seen beer pong being played on his part? You don't know, do you?
What I said is that he was already in his room when the game was starting. I went looking for him after.
Okay, but the cups were on the car throughout to the end of the party, correct?
They were on, yeah, at the end of the party, the cups were there.
So he could have come out at any time and seen that, even before the end of the party, isn't that true?
He would have had to walk past me, and he didn't do that.
You were inside watching
In the
football.
living room, which you have to walk past to get to the garage.
Did you stay with Mr. Deane the entire evening?
I was in the house and at the party until 2 a.m.
Did you have him, were you watching him the entire time?
No, but like I said, he would have had to have walked past me to,
But you don't know when the girls arrived at the party, do you?
not what time, no.
Right, so you don't know whether he was in the garage when that happened?
When they arrived at the party?
Yeah,
He was in and out. I don't know that he was in the garage specifically.
so he could have been, since you don't know what time the girls arrived, he could have been out there when they arrived. And isn't it true, it's possible he could have given them some beer from the keg, and you weren't out there at the time because you were inside watching football?
Sure.
That's all I have.
Anything else, Mr. Buck?
More questions? Thank you, sir.
You're free to leave, and we thank you for hanging around all day.
You're welcome.
Yes, thank you very much.
Thank you.
I'm gonna release him. I have a person on witness list named Matthew Clark. I trust you have no intention of calling him. I call Travis Deane. Mr. Deane, you've been sworn?
No, sir.
Ah,
You were not here this morning to be sworn.
I was here for the ongoings. I thought it was just for the people standing in the center that were going to be called as witnesses. I didn't
Okay.
raise my hand for it.
Raise your right hand. Do you solemnly swear that the testimony you're about to give in this case is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
thank you. I need you to state your full name for the record.
My name is Travis James Deane.
I want to focus your attention, please, to the night of November 5th, 2011, at your home, where you hosted a post-Halloween party. Do you recall the event occurring?
I'm aware of what we're discussing, yes, sir.
Okay, good. Now, were you drinking that day, sir?
Yes, sir.
And approximately what time did you start drinking that day?
After I had gotten everything to the house for the party, I would have started drinking prior to the party.
Okay. And you were drinking, can I assume, a combination of snake bites and Jello shots?
Objection leading.
What were you drinking that night, Mr. Deane?
There were two different beers on tap with separate tap handles, so I would have either had one or the other or a mixture of two. It wasn't necessarily a consistent item.
Ah. And would a mixture of the two be deemed by you to be a snake bite?
Yes, sir.
did you also have the Jello shots?
I very well may have. I don't recall having done any Jello shots.
Did you drink to the point that, drinking excess that night, sir?
Yes.
Do you feel you're intoxicated that night?
Yes, sir.
Do you feel that you have been safe behind the wheel of a vehicle?
Absolutely not.
Do you think, well, due to the amount of drinking that you did that evening, how is your recollection of the events that occurred that night?
The term spotty would be extending more credit to my memory of the evening than it should be.
Okay, so it'd be fair to say that you have a poor memory of the events that occurred that night.
Objection leading.
How would you describe your memory of the evening, sir?
Very good.
Okay. Now, do you recall giving any alcohol to Lindsay Haynes or Kelly Capps?
No, sir.
Okay. You acknowledge that you could have, right?
Yes, sir.
And you don't remember because you were intoxicated.
Yes, sir.
And do you remember Kelly Capps or Lindsay Haynes consuming alcohol that night at your house?
Not that I remember, sir.
That's possible it happened though, isn't it?
Yes, sir.
And even if they had done it in front of you, you don't remember them doing it.
No, sir.
But you can't dispute that it did, correct?
Correct.
And why is it you can't dispute that it did?
Because I'm not gonna say something did or didn't happen unless I have intimate knowledge of it happening.
And why don't you have any knowledge of that happening or not happening?
Because I don't recall the majority of the evening.
You don't recall the majority of the evening for what reason?
Alcohol consumption.
Okay. Now, you were in the privacy of your own home, right?
Yes, sir.
And you're over the age of 21, right?
Yes, sir.
And you were off duty, correct?
Yes, sir.
You weren't going on duty later that night,
Correct.
correct? Okay. So there was no reason that you couldn't consume alcohol that evening.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now, let's talk about the beer pong being played on your patrol car, sir. Do you have any recollection of that event?
No, sir.
Can you state or affirm that it did or did not happen?
Given all the information I was presented with and what people had told me afterwards, I would say it did occur. Yes, sir.
Okay. Now, but you have no independent recollection of it?
No, sir.
And that's again because of alcohol consumption?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now, let's talk about the allegations that the sheriff sustained against you. We'll come back to these probably